like the right thing.
Welcome back to this episode of I Date Money. I'm your hostess, Lisa Jennings, your wealth activator. Today we are hanging out with Amy Barackman. She is an interior designer, you guys. She just has a book that's been published. She's going to tell you more about herself in a second, but I'm really excited about this podcast release because okay, everything needs a plan, right? And we were talking pre-show about you're not going to design a house without a plan. So why are you going to tackle your finances without a plan? This is what I help you with. This is my expertise, creating and implementing a customized wealth activation roadmap, your own money map to make your money work for you instead of you working for it. So click the link in the show notes and book your wealth activation call, where in 20 minutes we will be laser focused on creating a customized plan for you to multiply the money that you currently have. Welcome, Amy. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to hear everything you have to say. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, what your expertise is, and why you are the expert in your field.
Great. Hi, Lisa. It's so great to be here. I'm really excited to talk to you because you're right. There are so many parallels. I'm an interior designer. I've been doing that for 15 years. And a few years ago, I realized that what I was doing when I'm putting together a room, I'm really following a formula. There's a formula to create a good design. And one of the challenges I've always had is too many clients, so many jobs, and so many people that I want to help them design their room, but I couldn't help everyone. So that's why I put together my new book, which is coming out shortly, that is called The Living Room Design Formula. And it's a step by step guide for how you can put together your room in your house, simple steps, but it will lead you to a great outcome, just like your
Mhm.
financial plans do.
Yeah, and it's so important to have a space that's congruent with your core values, your style. Like when you walk into your room, you want to feel, ah,
Mm.
I want you want to feel like this peace. I tell my husband we bought this our house 2.5 years ago in Melbourne Beach, Florida, and it was fully furnished. They painted it to sell it, and they painted it the same color it probably has been since 2005. And I saw the color in an Ethan Allen magazine that was delivered to the house when we first moved in. I was like, oh, okay, it's not so bad because the first thing I wanted to do was paint. I mean, that makes the biggest
Yes.
impact, right? And it's like if ironically the house we're 800 feet from the ocean, but the house has very few beach themed rooms. And I'm like,
Hmm.
and you think the main room would have been beach theme, but it's not. It's more of a electrical, traditional mix of, like we have wrought
Uh-huh.
iron light fixtures with the candles, that they look like candles for the
Yes.
lights. And I'm like, this isn't a beach home. Like, why did they put those fixtures in there?
Well, that is exactly like what you were saying earlier to me about a financial plan. People always want to know, they want to paint first, which I
Hmm.
understand. You move into a new house, it's accessible. And I always say, wait, please wait to paint because we need a plan. We need to know what's happening in your room. Many things are very hard to fit in the puzzle. For example, furniture, rugs, wallpaper, these things, there are only a few of them available.
Hmm.
Whereas wall color, I can match any paint to anything in the world. So, just like with your financial plan, I'm sure there are certain things you tackle first. I,
Hmm.
in the book, show people how to start with their layout and then how to find the furniture and those main pieces so that when they choose that wall color, they don't go back later because they know it fits.
Yeah, and
So
that's
I
really
tell people,
important.
don't just paint. I know you want to, but let's come up with a plan first.
I know back home we remodeled our house and it took months to go through
Mhm.
and figure out all the decor and matching it and multiple trips to the store to get the tile and the right colors and the textures and all of that. And
It
when
can
you
be a
think
daunting
about
process.
it can be. And then especially because you always want I'm a treasurer for my local HOA and we had a meeting at the vice president's house and we walk in and they had paint swatches all over the walls. And they had lived there for a couple years and so they had all of their furniture and everything decor. So they're trying to match the new paint with some of the pieces like their pictures and the furniture and the
Mhm.
cabinets and like, oh, which color do you like best? And I'm like, oh, they're all the same different shades to me.
Right.
Basically the same color, just in different shades. But it really made a difference because if you went too light and matched the cabinets, it was going to wash it out. And I
Hmm.
like to say that when you look at your budget, if you don't put enough money in your bucket for your travel, for your necessities, for your remodels. When you want to
Yes.
remodel something, it's if it's too light, you end up borrowing from another bucket to cover that expense. And then it's like, well, where'd all my money go? So
Yes.
it's the
And
same concept.
for all our listeners undergoing renovations, they know, you
Yeah.
and I know that you go into it with an idea of what things are going to cost. Maybe the contractor's given you a budget, but inevitably things are going to come up. So
Yeah.
even when you're really knowledgeable, you need to be prepared that there will probably be something. So if your contractor is asking you for a budget, give him like 10% less of what you think, because really things will come out of the woodwork, as you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I watch a lot of those HGTV shows and I say, "Oh, this is a problem." But we have a lot of neighbors that have remodeled and they've had, like just putting in a new floor. They've had all of our pipes are in our floors. And so we have tile floors, so they have to jackhammer them out and the pipes get pinholes in them. So everyone has to repipe their house.
Oh
And
my
when they first start,
goodness.
now they tell us that because we can prevent it. We can lay tile over the tile, which we are like, no, that's not the proper way to do things. But if you're going to use that
Right.
jackhammer, just
Sounds
plan on
like you might
adding,
need to.
yeah, plan on adding that extra expense to redo your plumbing. So your new floor just, doubled in price because now you have to rearrange your plumbing, and do all and then that's adding drywall cost. So all these hidden
Mhm.
costs pop up all the time. And just like with our finances, like, oh,
Absolutely.
I didn't know my hot water tank was going to break. Oh, what do you mean it's Christmas and I have to go out and spend money on holidays?
Exactly. And the contractors they can't predict everything,
Hmm.
right? What I've learned is contractors, they are wonderful people, sometimes a little ego driven. And
Hmm.
heard this from a contractor, by the way. And he said, we don't want to be wrong about things. We want to have all the knowledge of everything. So
Hmm.
I think we get this idea that we get a quote and, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. But he can't predict. The first person who jackhammered couldn't predict those pinholes necessarily.
Right.
They had
Right.
to go through it. It's the same thing with design. Most people are only going to design their space maybe they've only done it once or twice before. They may do it 3 or 4 times again in the future. You can't become an expert
Hmm.
because you aren't doing it enough. You're doing your job every day. So that's why it's helpful to have some professional guidance. And I wanted to put it in a book so that people who can't or don't want to hire a designer can have that professional guidance, but still put together a space that makes them feel good.
Hmm. Yeah, and with the space that makes you feel good, you definitely are more productive. You have that atmosphere. I think I've redone my office like 4 times, and I share an office with one of our guest bedrooms, and it's like I really want to
Mm,
get rid of that bed, and my daughter's like, "Well, Mom, get a Murphy's bed." I'm like, I don't know if I want to get a Murphy's bed. I have to look
uh-huh.
at them and see what that looks like. What does that mean? Is it
Yes.
comfortable?
They can be a great idea while we're on the topic of Murphy beds. I mean, I've used them successfully. What um what I find is a lot of people don't end up using them
Oh,
because now look, if it's an occasional guest room, it could be the perfect solution for you. But
yeah,
it it needs to be a guest room that you use frequently enough to invest in one. Because it's
right.
definitely something that you can buy cheaper, maybe on Wayfair, maybe on a site like that. You may be able to find a cheaper one, but it won't necessarily complement the rest of your decor. So your
Right.
best bet would be having it custom made, which
Ah,
means dollars.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I live on an island, and the biggest thing is, well, I don't want to come all the way out there for that.
Right. Oh, you're so lucky. It's so nice. And
Yeah.
I love that you're helping people, especially women, have like a really positive feeling about their money. I think
Hmm.
that is such a valuable thing to add to the world. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you for even mentioning that because I always, finances isn't something that we learn in school. We don't learn about, decorating, we don't learn about cooking or cleaning or, how to run our households. But yet
Mhm.
we're thrown into adulthood and here, go take care of it. Now start paying your bills, set up your space, do this, do that. It's like, my goodness, and even something as simple as going grocery shopping, like, I remember the first time I had to go grocery shopping as a single parent at 18 years old, I was like, what am
Oh,
I gonna buy? I mean, I had no clue. And like, so who do I call? My mom. Mom, how do I grocery shop? Well, you need to plan your meal. I go, what? Well, I just don't want to go to the grocery store and put all the food in the cart and then come out. She says, no, you have to figure out what you're gonna eat over the next few days and then cook it and plan for your meals, plan for your lunches and all this stuff. And I was just like, and at that time my baby was, eating baby food. So that was a no-brainer, right?
yes.
Like, oh my goodness. And it was the first time I went grocery shopping, it was 3 hours in the store
Oh
trying
my
to figure
gosh.
out like what's a good deal. And like I had my little money envelope with my grocery money in there, and I'm trying to figure out what I can get with this amount of money and figure out what I was going to eat. I'm like, my mom's like, do it before you go to the grocery store and don't ever go to the grocery store hungry.
Oh my gosh. Great
So,
advice. Great advice.
but yeah, and so from that time on, I sat down, I got my little notepad out because this is way before cell phones, right? In the late 80s. And I wrote out, okay, I actually got a calendar and a notepad. And I was just like, okay, I get paid on this day. I'm going to go grocery shopping on this day. This is when I'm going to have time to cook. Da, 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 da. This is what I'm going to buy. And it all worked out. So ate a lot of pasta.
But that's a great skill that, some of us still struggle with, right?
hmm
Not me, just kidding. Yes, me.
Yeah.
There are times where I'm in the grocery store or I'm looking at a recipe. I'm like, oh, I'd love to make that. I need to remember to get those. And then you go to the grocery store and you're like, oh, I totally forgot which thing I was going to get. So that's such a great skill. And finances, grocery shopping, designing your space, as you said, they're all about having a plan. I like to start with a really small plan. In One of the things I do for clients is I create a gallery wall.
Oh,
So if they have a space in their house that's blank, this is a great way and an affordable way to create something really visually striking. So I get the same frames, I hang them in a grid pattern. I have them send pictures to me that they really love. So maybe it's a picture of their dog or their family. I try to do maybe a landscape of a place they've been on vacation that they love, not necessarily just all portraits. We want to
right.
have, a whole different thing. I collect those, I print them in matte and black and white, and we hang it in a grid. It creates this visually striking space. It's a simple plan. It can be executed in, you have to order things one day, but then it can be hung in a day and is huge visual payoff. I brought it up because it's something that I offer a free download on. I have a free PDF that anyone can find. It's Gallery Wall Tips, gallerywalltips.com. They can go download the PDF and it will show them exactly how to do this. So it's a very affordable, really wonderful way to upgrade your interior design. And it's all laid out for you in the plan, this small plan.
Well, I love that. As you're saying that, I'm picturing my vast wall in my dining area because I have like
Ooh, perfect.
it's one big great room, but it's three areas. So I got like, the dining area, then there's like a little reading corner, and then there's the family room furniture. Then there's another corner that is kind of like dead space, but you need something there. And it's like everyone puts a
Mm-hmm.
plant there. And I'm like, I don't want a plant there. So I have a lamp there and a chair. I have like another little sitting
Ooh,
corner, but it's really not appropriate. But um I always think, and then when you first walk in, because you walk in through the front door, there's like this wall that it's like a letter table, like like you put your keys and your
right.
mail and
Console table to collect all the
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And there's another chair there, and we keep moving around and looking at it. But there's that big, huge wall that, incorporates that one side of the room. And then we bought it fully furnished. So they have this big, huge picture of a pelican. And it takes up like that dining area wall, but then there's nothing on the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
wall.
Oh, this is perfect for you
Yeah.
because, and it's really common. we're seeing so many of the open floor plan, which everyone loves. I mean, who doesn't
Yes.
love that feeling? We love the open thing. But what happens is then you kind of need to delineate your spaces. And while you're doing that, you don't want things that clash. So you
Right.
have the Pelican, which sounds gorgeous, especially for a beach island
Yeah.
home. And then in your family room, you can have black and white photos, which mesh with everything. They allow you to have this visual, beautiful statement, but then it flows. So in
Hmm.
this PDF that you can download, I say exactly the frames I use. I show exactly how far apart to hang them. I recommend how to print the photos, all these things just to make it easy. And if you can follow
Hmm.
that plan, you can achieve it.
That's awesome. Well, everyone listening, you need to check the show notes and get that freebie because, creating this space that you love is going to help you be more productive. It's going to help you bring in more money and it's going to
Mhm.
help you give you that sense of satisfaction, that peace. And when you think about how you receive information, and when you design a space that you absolutely love, right? So for all of you ladies listening out there, I know a lot of you are divorced mompreneurs and you're creating a new space and we're like afraid to spend our money because oh my goodness, I just went through this breakup. All my assets and my money was split, and I feel like I'm living on a shoestring budget. Really, I don't really have the money or the time to even think about remodeling or decorating or anything of that nature. But you can, just like Amy said, you can get these simple tips, strategies. You can get the book, and you can think about like, how can I create a space that I love? That when I walk into the room, I feel happy and content and safe, and then I'm more productive because when you notice
Absolutely.
yourself, like if you pay attention to your energy when you walk into a room and you feel like, oh, just like if the kitchen's a mess, right? That prevents us from being productive because subconsciously we're thinking, the house is such a mess. I don't like it. I don't like this picture. I don't like that. It's time to
Mhm.
declutter. One of the very first things we do in the Wealth Accelerator is declutter our space. We literally look at each room and say, what here brings me joy? That gets to
Love
stay
it.
and everything else leaves. Because if something, if you're looking at something and you're like, why do I have this? Throw it away, give it away. I don't care what you do with it. Sell it, do something, but
Hmm.
get it out of your space because this is affecting your money. It's affecting your health because you're subconsciously telling yourself that I don't deserve this. I'm not good enough. Oh, or I'm afraid to throw this away because I might need it later. The rule of thumb is if you haven't used it in 6 months, you're never going to use it. So you're leaving money on the table because what if you could sell that thing? My husband's a hoarder. So
Yes.
if you haven't taken the money archetype quiz yet, Harry the Hoarder is one of the archetypes. And I have 3 clients that are Harry the Hoarder. I'm like, just get rid of your stuff. I have a client who loves to buy Kate Spade purses and she won't carry a purse when she goes out.
Oh my gosh.
Why? Why do we buy Kate Spade purses and don't carry it when we go out? So she broke
Well,
that habit.
well, that's good because I say in the same regard, exactly what you're saying about get declutter. I always say if it's not on display, then it's really of no value to you. So you may have something that you love, but if it's in a box, then what's the point? So I want to build shelves for those Kate Spade purses if she loves them so much. Or if you have something that was your grandmother's that means something to you, find a way to honor it. Find a way to put it somewhere that makes you smile every day. Without that, you may as well not have it.
Well, Amy, I gotta tell you, we got a whole Rubbermaid container full of Swarovski crystals that were my
Oh,
mother-in-law's that I have like, what am I gonna do with these? And they've
well,
been
do
sitting in
you
the
love
box for
them?
2.5 years. They're very pretty, but I don't think they're beach themey.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the tenets of my book is you must honor your home.
Hmm.
Right? It's whatever you choose, it you can love it, but you have to also have it honor your home.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a sell opportunity, or maybe there is if you said to me, well, I love these, but I live at the beach, but I love them and I just want to look at them. I would say, okay, well, is there a room that's maybe not the main open thoroughfare, but maybe it's your office, maybe it's another room where you can look at them and be happy and they don't have to be quite as cohesive with the rest
Hmm.
of your home. If so, display them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we only have them because my husband insisted that we keep them and not we looked at selling them, but I just don't. I'm like, I don't. I have no desire.
You don't have right. And it takes
You
energy to
know?
sell things.
Yeah,
Sometimes you make more money by not selling it, meaning
yeah,
you save the time and
exactly.
use it to
Yeah.
do something else. But yeah.
Yeah, and we have yeah, I'm sure some of the pieces are really cute. I remember them being displayed in her house. But yeah, like I said, I just don't have the shelf space for it. So they sit in a box and
Right.
maybe, but we have Hummel bells too, like a whole set of Hummel bells. It's like,
So you've got the collection. It's funny because one of the things that I talk about in the beginning of my book is that you need to declare yourself captain of the ship. Now, this
Mhm.
doesn't really apply to what you just described because obviously we live with people, whether it's
Yeah.
our spouse or our parent or whoever we're living with. We have to it, we have to be fair and let them keep things they want. But when it comes to design, I state very early on, beware of other people's opinions.
Hmm.
They might have the best intentions and they are not trying to derail you, but other people's opinions can really slow down a design. So
Hmm.
I say, really, I recommend don't invite other people's opinions. And if you want to show them what you're working on, what you're going to put in the space, show it with confidence. Tell them this is what I'm doing. Of course, I'm not saying don't honor their opinions, but you make yourself captain of the ship. If you love
Hmm.
something, you put it up and they can deal with it if they're not going to do the work themselves.
I like that. I like that point of view. And it's very important, to be able to voice that and to say like, well, okay, let's compromise, whatever. But I love that. So when you think about your own journey going through and creating this beautiful business that you have, what was your most pivotal moment that helps you realize like I love what I'm doing and I'm making money doing it and this is how I'm managing it so that I could be more fruitful is I guess the word I want to use.
So I came about this career not naturally. Let me put it this way. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. So after I was young, I was 25, I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. I was working in Manhattan. I had an expense account. I had all these great perks of the job, and I just hated it. I hated calling on people. I didn't want to sell something that I wasn't really that passionate about. And I found design, and I just knew I had to make it my career. But there were a lot of people who were not a fan of that idea. um,
Hmm.
it's not that they weren't a fan of that idea, it's that they were worried. They didn't think they were concerned that I wouldn't be able to make money. They were concerned that, I was starting at square one, and in many ways they were right about that. But my husband was reluctantly supportive, but it was a sacrifice for him too, because I
Hmm.
was giving up this job that was very lucrative. And my parents were really worried. And of course, I wanted to please them. And Lisa, I remember there was one moment where I had been back and forth. Should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? Should I do this? And I was crying on the ground. And I just came to the conclusion I have to do this because this is what I'm passionate about. And if I don't do this, I will, it will not work in the long run. I have to do it.
Hmm.
So I jumped ship. I went back to school. I went and worked for someone else to learn the ropes. And then eventually I started my firm. But that moment where I realized I had to do it, I think I would have died a little bit inside if I had stayed doing that job that
Hmm.
didn't fuel me. And now I still love what I do, even these years after I've become successful and gained that track record. I still love it. Don't get me wrong, I don't love every aspect of it. I mean, there are parts of it that aren't my favorite, but I really think that for anyone who's interested in a career change, if you love what you're doing, you will be good at it.
Hmm.
So, and you'll be willing to invest the time. So that was the pivotal moment for me.
Yeah, and I love that. Invest the time and the money because a lot of people are staying in jobs because of the money and they're miserable and they dread
It's not
going
easy.
to, right, they dread doing it. Even some entrepreneurs, I know for me, I changed my niche 3 times because, I do this for fun. I retired from the Social Security Administration after a 30-year career. And I was just like, okay, I want to help people. I'm too young. I'm only 57 years old. I was 54 at the time. And I was like, okay, what can I do? And what were people asking me? And as while I was working full time, I always had a side gig. So, I started doing MLMs and affiliate marketing in 2019 and 20. And then I became a certified aromatherapy practitioner. I was like, this is really
Mhm.
cool. I can help people break through some of their past beliefs and help them, connect with themselves and understand that they are worthy. But I kept shifting and changing and seeking because I loved my job at Social Security. I mean, when they offered an early out, I was just like, am I ready to go? And I was, because I really wanted to get into the online space and do coaching. And when I left, I was a client attraction coach. And I was just like, oh, I don't want to do that. I was tired of helping startups,
Fine.
giving, it was more of a, self-assurance of, yes, you can get clients and here's how you do it. Just be
Right.
consistent with your funnel. But what I noticed with my clients at that time was that they were all afraid to make more money because one, they didn't want to gouge people. Two, they
Mhm.
didn't value their services. They didn't value themselves to create price points that were on target with their profit margin because they didn't think that they were worthy. And
Mhm.
for them to switch, a lot of them had 9 to 5s and they were wanting to transition into their side gigs as their full support. And they were so afraid to do it because they weren't good enough. And would the money, like you said, would the business bring in the money in order to replace the income? I'm like, well, you can slowly transition out of it. But what happens is they derail themselves and they don't follow their intuition and they allow external validation to drive their decision, which keeps them stuck in this rut. And then they just keep doing the same things over and over again, and then they expect a different change. It's let's like stop it with the insanity. Let's get you on your path to, first of all, self-care, creating a space that you love,
Mhm.
walking into a room that you absolutely love that's decorated and represents you, like, as a reflection of you when you walk in that room, so you can be productive, so you can say, you know what, this is what I love. And I love creating those mental spaces too. Like one of the things we do in the Wealth
Yes.
Accelerator is create a safe space, and my safe space is a waterfall. And I have like a
Mhm.
little imaginary friend, lion fin. I just noticed my picture's gone. One of my friends painted me lion fin. I described lion
Mhm.
her, and she was able to draw him or her. I guess it's a girl, and there's a beautiful waterfall, and it's just a really safe space. It's like a cave
Love that.
underneath the water, and a dry cave underneath the water, and it's absolutely beautiful to visualize myself to go there and feel safe. But when I walk into my living room or I walk into my office or I walk into my bedroom, like we made some changes to our bedroom. We added some drapes and I got a different, cover and some pillows and some pictures. And I want to get new
Makes
furniture.
such a difference.
But it did. When I walk in there now, my eye vision goes right above the picture, which is a beautiful beach scene, painted, and then just the colors are blues and greens. And I walk in and I'm like, ah. And sometimes my husband doesn't like the bed, so he'll go sleep in the guest room. He's like, "Well, come up in the
Uh-huh.
guest room and sleep with me." I'm like, "No, I like sleeping in my
Like
room."
this is my yeah.
This is my oasis, and it's gonna get better because I'm gonna replace the rug, I'm gonna paint the walls, and I'm gonna change the furniture out. But
Right.
it's so important to do that. So I really thank you for sharing your vision. If there's one tip that you can share with the audience, you've already given so much value, but something that helped you change your
Mhm.
mindset towards your finances, towards your business, something that helped you, like you said earlier, I had so many clients, I couldn't figure out how to help them. So I wrote this book. I hear a lot of people in the background going, wait a minute, how did you get so many clients? So maybe you could share
Yes.
how that progressed with the audience.
I'd love to. Well, and as you described some of the challenges that your clients face, I've been down all those roads, right? Not valuing your time enough, undercutting what you should be selling things for, all those things. It was definitely, I had to scratch my way to learn the best way to do it. But at the end of the day, I think the reason that I was able to get so many clients is because I set myself up as how would I want to be treated? If
Mhm.
I were hiring a designer, which I certainly couldn't afford to at the time, How would I want that designer to treat me? And I always, to this day, I've trained other designers and I always say, know your client, know their needs. It's all about them. I think it's easy for designers or people in other careers to get focused on their vision. And of course, that's important. That's why people are hiring us. But my focus has always been on the clients and
Mhm.
what works for them. How can I give them something beautiful that they'll love, that they'll appreciate, that works for their life? Still my vision, but for designed for them. And I think if in any career, if we focus on the client and we just really appreciate and are grateful for the clients, I never complain about my clients. And as a result, I never have to.
Mhm.
Literally, I have the best clients. So I think if we focus on the client and we're grateful for the client, it all comes.
Mhm. That's so
That's been my
beautiful.
experience.
I love that. Appreciate what you have, appreciate who you work with, and you will be appreciated. And
Definitely.
it appreciates. When you appreciate everything, it appreciates.
Yes, I love
It's a
that.
little play on words there. So thank you so much, Amy, for sharing that. What's the best way for our audience to get connected with you?
Well, please check out that gallerywalltips.com to get your freebie.
Mhm.
And that will also, you'll also be able to put on the list for the book, which will be out very soon. Where I just was on the phone with the publisher and I'm reluctant to say the exact day because still getting final things all set up. But you can also go to LR Design Formula, LR for living room, lrdesignformula.com, and that has more info about the book and connecting with us at Bergman Design.
Perfect. Well, thank you again. For those of you listening, please check the show notes, click those links, get your free guide. And if you want an interior designer who's going to make your world, your dream come true, your space connected with you, so that when you walk in, you're like, ah, you have that total sense of peace and calmness, connect with Amy. She's your girl. And remember, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it's what you do with it.